What if I told you the biggest lie in personal finance isn't that you need to be rich to get richer, it's that you need a lot of money to start. Imagine turning just $50 into $50,000. Sounds like one of those sketchy thumbnails with a rented Lamborghini, right? Except today we're doing something different. No crypto miracles, no lottery fantasies, no trust me bro. We're breaking down the real math, the realistic timeline, and the exact decisions that can make a tiny amount of money snowball into something surprisingly life-changing. And one number we're about to calculate completely changes how you'll look at money forever. Let's start with a reality check. If your plan is to buy a random meme coin tonight and wake up with $50,000 tomorrow, you're watching the wrong video. That's gambling, not math. The real path is slower at first, but here's the funny part. Once momentum kicks in, it starts looking almost unfair. Warren Buffett famously said that the first $100,000 is the hardest. He wasn't saying it to sound dramatic. He was describing a mathematical problem. Tiny amounts of money simply don't have enough force by themselves. So the secret isn't making your money work harder first. It's making yourself more valuable. Imagine two friends, Alex and Ben. They both have exactly $50. Alex spends it on trendy gadgets, a fancy coffee every morning, and things that disappear by next month. Ben buys a simple online course, a domain name, and a basic design tool. 3 weeks later, Ben earns his first $40 designing thumbnails for a small creator. Not impressive, right? Except now he has $90 instead of $50, plus one thing that's infinitely more valuable: proof that he can create income. This is where most people miss the game. Your first goal isn't multiplying $50, it's multiplying your earning power. Author James Clear explains in Atomic Habits that small improvements repeated consistently produce remarkable long-term results. The same principle applies to money. Instead of asking, how do I turn 50 into 50,000? Ask, how do I turn 1 hour into $50? That's a question you can actually solve. In 2026, opportunities are everywhere. AI tools have dramatically lowered the barrier to starting a side hustle. Someone who learns basic video editing, thumbnail design, social media management, prompt engineering, spreadsheet automation, or simple website creation can often land beginner freelance jobs with almost no upfront investment. Websites like Fiverr, Upwork, and Contra are filled with businesses looking for affordable help. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be slightly better than someone who never started. Here's where the math becomes interesting. Suppose Ben earns just $20 a day from a simple skill. That's about $600 a month. Instead of spending it, he reinvests part of it into better software, better education, and eventually diversified investments like broad stock index funds. Notice something? The original $50 quickly becomes almost irrelevant. The engine is no longer the money. It's the skill producing new money every single week. And that's the first big mindset shift. Wealth rarely grows because of one lucky investment. It grows because income creates investments. Investments create returns. And those returns buy even more income-producing assets. That's the snowball we're going to calculate next. And the numbers are far more surprising than most people expect. Now let's put real numbers on the table, because this is where dreams either become a plan or fall apart. If you simply invested $50 in a broad US stock market index fund and earned an average annual return of around 10 cents, close to the long-term historical average of the S&P 500 before inflation, you wouldn't magically reach $50,000 anytime soon. In fact, you'd be waiting for centuries. That's not pessimism. That's compound interest doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Money compounds slowly when the starting amount is tiny. So if anyone promises that your original $50 alone will become $50,000 in a few years, your wallet should start running before you do. The real equation has 3 moving parts: your starting money, your monthly contributions, and time. Let's go back to Ben. After building a simple freelance skill, he's now earning an extra $600 each month. Instead of upgrading his phone every year because the camera has 1 more megapixel, he invests $400 monthly into low-cost index funds while keeping some cash for learning and emergencies. Here's where things get exciting. Assuming an average annual return of about 10%, investing $400 every month can grow to roughly $50,000 in around 8 years. Increase that monthly investment to $600, and the timeline becomes even shorter. Suddenly, the original $50 wasn't the hero of the story. It was the first domino. Morgan Housel, author of The Psychology of Money, argues that wealth is less about intelligence and more about behavior. Think about it. 2 people earn exactly the same income. One invests automatically on payday before touching the money. The other waits until the end of the month to see what's left. Guess who usually has nothing left? Money has an incredible talent for disappearing whenever it's given given too much freedom. Here's a fun comparison. Imagine your investments are like planting trees. Most people walk into the garden after 2 weeks, see no apples, declare farming a scam, and leave. The patient person keeps watering the trees. Years later, everyone asks how they got so lucky. Funny how luck often looks suspiciously like consistency. Behavioral economists call this present bias. We naturally value immediate rewards more than future ones. That's why buying sneakers today feels more exciting than investing for a future version of yourself you've never met. But that future version is quietly hoping you'll make at least a few boring decisions. So ask yourself this: if someone offered you $50,000 8 years from now in exchange for skipping a few unnecessary purchases and learning one valuable skill today, would you take the deal? Most people say yes. Then tomorrow they order food delivery because cooking feels like too much effort. The math isn't complicated. The difficult part is acting like the math matters. And there's one final piece almost nobody talks about, a way to dramatically speed up the entire process without relying on higher investment returns. That's where the game changes again. Here's the part that changes the entire equation. Most people spend years trying to squeeze an extra 2 or 3% out of their investments, endlessly debating which stock, ETF, or strategy is the best. Meanwhile, they completely ignore the one variable that has a much bigger impact in the beginning: increasing their income. Imagine two investors. Emma earns an average 10% return and invests $300 every month. Jake somehow achieves an incredible 15% annual return, but only invests $100 monthly. A decade later, Emma often ends up with more money despite earning lower returns, simply because she consistently put more cash to work. That's the power of contribution over optimization. This idea is backed by Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler, whose research on behavioral economics shows that automating good financial habits often beats trying to make perfect financial decisions. People love complicated strategies because they sound impressive. Reality usually rewards boring consistency. Let's revisit Ben one last time. His freelance income grows from $600 to $1,500 a month, not because he worked twice as hard, but because he became better. He learned faster editing, communicated better with clients, raised his prices, and stopped competing only on cost. Every extra dollar he earned became another employee working for him inside his investment account. Notice something interesting? At first, your money works for you. Later, your skills work for your money. Eventually, your money starts working harder than you do. That's the transition every financially successful person is chasing. Now, here's a challenge. Think about your phone's screen time from last week. If you spent just 10 hours scrolling through random videos, what would have happened if even half that time had gone into learning a skill people actually pay for? 10 hours probably wouldn't make you an expert, but repeated every week for a year, that's over 250 hours. According to many career experts, including author Cal Newport, that level of focused practice is enough to become genuinely valuable in many fields. Of course, there will be setbacks. Markets go down, clients disappear, AI changes industries, trends die. That's normal. The goal isn't avoiding problems. It's building systems that keep moving even when motivation disappears. Automatic investing, continuous learning, a growing skill stack. Those don't depend on feeling inspired on a Tuesday morning. So is the title technically true? Can you grow $50 into $50,000? Yes, but probably not in the way social media wants you to believe. The $50 is simply your first vote for the person you're trying to become. Every investment, every new skill, every disciplined decision adds another vote. One vote doesn't change your life. Thousands of them do. And that's the real math. Not magic, not luck, just small numbers making surprisingly big decisions over surprisingly long periods of time. Once you understand that, you'll never look at just $50 the same way again. So here's the takeaway. $50 won't magically become $50,000 because you found a secret investment. It grows because that first $50 starts a chain reaction of learning, earning, investing, and repeating. The real formula isn't luck, it's skills plus consistency, powered by compound growth over time. Start small, improve continuously, and let the math do its job. If you remember one thing from this video, remember this: tiny beginnings are only useless if they never begin.